Hi, I'm Jesse Cannon, and this is my point 4 cents.
Hi, I'm Dustin Boyer.
And I'm Matt Bacon, and this week we're discussing some of our favorite TikToks and what makes them good. Then, after my interview with my friend Fabrice, the managing partner of Bandsintown, we'll have a discussion of our favorite AI prompts for musicians to do to research their music.
So this week we're excited to announce that some things are changing around my point 4 cents. We have bills to pay, so about half of our content is going behind a paywall for $5 a month, and you can now get our full interviews and 2 to 3 extra segments each week from us where we discuss what our members vote on and what we want to discuss, all behind our membership feed, which is available on YouTube.
Right now, memberships are live for YouTube, and soon Apple and Spotify should have them as well. We'd really appreciate you supporting us there. This week, our members will get the full interview.
This week in the members feed, we'll be discussing Halsey and why she says her label won't let her release a new album, and the death of music journalism.
And unfortunately, our friend Andrew Southworth wasn't able to join us this week, but I'm really excited to talk about our favorite TikTok since I've been scrolling a lot lately.
So this week, I convinced the guys on trying something new, an idea I had, because so many of you are always asking what makes a good piece of social content, really like, that kind of TikTok that's going to go viral, and why does it go viral? So what I'd like to do this week is for us to watch a couple of our favorite TikToks that have done particularly well and discuss why we think it's done well.
And one of the things I want to point out about this is a lot of the time when it comes to content strategy with my artists, especially for sort of the more basic stuff, I'm literally just sending them a TikTok in their niche that I think is cool and going like, how do we make our version of this? And then we do, and then it does good, right? Like you can recycle or slightly adapt these ideas into your own voice. And Dustin's laughing, but I know he does it too.
Well, it's funny too because sometimes I wanna go deep. Sometimes I wanna look and really understand, okay, this went viral, but why? What do people find valuable about this TikTok? Which is not always easy because sometimes you'll watch it and you're like, "Yeah, I don't know, he's just singing the song." And arguably, you could just say the song's a banger. But sometimes the song's not a banger, but the content is. And I think when you
Yeah.
unpack why, you can combine those things and really start to understand how to make stuff consistently that's gonna just do really well.
I'm becoming very convinced that a lot of the key to being good at TikTok, like a lot of people just put out these lists of like, just do this prompt, and that doesn't really do big numbers. But when you look particularly, I think outside your niche, because the artists I work with that do the best usually are stealing from, it's a metal industrial artist stealing from a country artist and going, how would I do what they're doing in my niche with my strengths and my identity and my positioning in my genre?
Well, and we
That's absolutely
like
true.
to ask the question about what makes the song valuable when it comes to the hook. So if we're having just a performance, that can be boring, but if you can get them to understand in the hook what the song is and why it's valuable to them really quickly, then they'll stick around and listen. But you can also do that visually. I don't know. So
So
let's
Dustin, you want to yeah, why don't you show us one?
yeah, let's get into it. I got one pulled up right here. This is probably my favorite one that I've seen in the last couple months. All right.
I'ma show you how to make a pound cake. I'ma show you how to make a pound.
You guys like that? That is
I
like
love
That's
that.
cool.
so here's the and by the way, I love by the TikTok lets you put images in the comments
Yeah.
now because of stuff
I,
like this.
what one of my favorite things to do to people when they have really bad takes is just screenshot their own picture of their own face and
Yeah.
find a facial expression
I
that
sometimes
is
do it
not
to
what I feel.
myself.
But yeah, yeah, that's my new favorite thing is like just like coming back at someone with their face when they have a terrible take.
So I just want to say this because I think that if you're an artist and you just watched this and you
But
probably have some
should, wait,
kind of
wait, that does that. Should we describe what it is for the people at
oh,
home?
yes, because it
That's it.
probably sounds crazy, but I mean, it is the song. Okay, so, the fact that first of all, you don't understand that there's an old woman there. It's a slow zoom out. It's the artist wearing a white wig. It's a black artist wearing an amazing outfit. Slow zoom out. There's an older white woman who, as soon as the beat drops, she pulls over a pink ski mask. I mean, honestly, it's kind of hard to describe what this is. You
Yeah.
need to go watch it. It's by Thought Squad. It is absolutely amazing. And
We should say that's thought with a THOT, not thought.
oh yes, yes. But look, on the
What
surface,
does that
it's
stand for, Jesse?
That hoe over there.
there you go. He's a real journalist.
I guys, I used to own thoughtcatalog.com for a while, so
He's not afraid of words. But, on the surface, there's spectacle. And most artists, when I show them things like this, I usually get kind of like an aggressive reaction. It's like, yeah, of course, if I did something ridiculous like this, then it would do well. And my argument would be no, that intrinsically, this ties to her brand in a way that even though you really don't get into the song itself, anybody who would enjoy this, it's very likely that they'll enjoy the entirety of the song and her brand because it matches exactly. But there's nothing wrong with spectacle. And I think that that's the main takeaway is that when
Mhm.
you're watching this and you ask yourself, why would somebody like this? The absolute spectacle. And you can look at other artists that do something similar. Oliver Tree is one of my favorite example of
Mhm.
an artist who leans into spectacle, right? And so not enough artists give spectacle the value that it deserves. And I think earlier you mentioned, Jesse, different niches, different genres, tapping into other things. I wish more country artists would look at things like this and understand, oh, it's spectacle, and I can tap into it. And I just want to do a follow up because there is one artist who did look at this stuff like this. I don't know this in particular, but did look at it and go, "Hey, a lot of country artists are just sitting there playing the song. But what if I leaned into spectacle?" And I'll share his. It's called.
Should we should actually explain to people what spectacle is too. Is the spectacle is basically when you go, "Oh my god, that's wild," and you send it to your friend. Like it's basically that you're seeing something that is out of the ordinary.
Yeah, and it's not just out of the ordinary. Sometimes it's like eye candy, visually appealing, makes you go, it's unexpected. I mean, it's a fireworks show, right? A fireworks show is a spectacle. It's a light show. It's riding on a Disney ride and seeing lights and sounds. Whatever a spectacle can be so many things, but mostly it's beyond just sitting on a screen lip syncing a song.
I hate to give Matt any more time of talking about French guys and philosophy, but Guy Debord's short book, Society of the Spectacle, explains
Yeah.
exactly why this works so well.
Really,
Yeah.
I might have to read it.
Oh yeah,
Um,
it's a great and you read it in under an hour, even when you're thinking about what he's saying.
Yeah, it's like a pamphlet almost.
Yeah.
And, most genres, I mean, I think most artists aren't doing this, but hip hop, rock, they are pretty good at spectacle. Country is not, but Little Man Jay, who's an artist that's blowing up right now, his content is all spectacle. And now he's not afraid of it. And this is a piece of content that's a little derivative at this point. He's doing his own
They're
version
calling
of
for
it.
sunshine, clear
The
skies,
rope.
no stress on
His
the
version is the
ride.
boat is pulling him.
I'm gonna keep on riding away, riding high. Life is good, 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 yeah, that's good.
So here's the thing. To a rock guy, he'd be like, "Yeah, we do stuff like this all the time. How does this have 2.4 million views? It was posted 2 days ago." Because in country, nobody's doing it. And if you're a country
Uh,
fan, you're getting something new. You're dealing in spectacle. And so Little Man Jay has decided, "Yeah, I'm not gonna do what everybody else is doing." He also shoots his music, his content like hip hop. He does these shakes,
Yeah.
these zooms. He shoots it in a way that the country audience isn't used to. And I think that's just a big takeaway of how you should think about spectacle.
it's funny. The original video you showed is actually too like people get so worried about being derivative, but a lot of the time the thought is, how can I do what somebody else did and improve upon it? And I'll show you uh one of my favorite videos of all time, Shake Well Leg Lock. I'll turn off the sound so we can talk over it while it plays. But, this video is literally just this from years ago. The same, concept is just the camera pulls back and then you start to see something really fucking insane, and it's like 40 different scenes of this throughout the video, way before the TikTok era too. This is a 7-year-old video, but all he does is pull out and show you something crazy over and over again.
And it's important because it starts looking normal and then it kind of shifts into like
It
bizarro world.
keeps getting weirder and weirder as the video goes, and, it's getting weird now.
I like him
Uh,
just hanging
this
out
is
with boomers. It's the kind of weird I like where it's not
Yep.
like toe over the top. It's just a little off, and you're like,
Yeah.
okay.
Great song too.
I have two examples I'm really excited about. One, I wanted to kind of share something that like anyone could do. This is my friend Harley Olivia, who makes music with her boyfriend Sig Meyer, who's a producer. I think Jesse also knows, who's also a very good friend of mine. And the video, it was 8 seconds long. We can play it again, but it's literally just her
Can
playing
can
the
you can you
song.
can you pause so we can read the prompt?
Yeah, so the prompt says, "Congrats, you just discovered a Canadian artist who's small enough to gatekeep, will actually be your friend, replies to every comment, and makes music like this." And the audio is just the hook of her song, which we can play that real quick. I messed up and didn't have it going initially.
I keep pushing harder, and what I found will shock you up. I keep getting quicker, but I won't stop it now.
And so I think just real quick on that hook, obviously like showcasing the hook of your song is great. Yeah. But like what's important is that hook starts with like the ow, like it starts with like the scream, like it immediately throws you into the thing, you know? And a couple other things I think are interesting about this that I've seen work for people a lot. One, specifically shouting out where you are from, weirdly effective.
It does so well. Especially if you're a small artist building for the first time.
I think even too, you could extend it that often even saying I'm a this artist. So sometimes it's identity, sometimes it's like which subculture you belong to. Like I saw one that went crazy the other day that said they were whatever the Harry Potter thing. I'm too old to know Harry Potter, Gryffindor,
Ravenclaw or
whatever.
something.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, and so it's like so she shouts out her identity very quickly. Like, obviously, if you just look at her, you can tell and, like, hear the hook, like, you can tell it's like a rock song, okay, fine. I think the small enough to gatekeep thing, also weirdly effective, just because it makes you feel like you're discovering something early on. Will actually be your friend, kinda highlighting the community, and replies to every comment. So here she's almost, like, stacking text on screen hooks that kind of we all kind of know work and that will kind of get you out of algorithm jail, you know? And this is like a
I
bunch of
call
them
it
at once.
audience finding videos where you're going to start to
Yeah.
find people who would potentially be interested in your style of music.
Yeah. And so here she's showcasing, she's doing a bunch of those things at once, but emphasizing like the energy of the song with her performance, right? And emphasizing that, like, oh, you're like special, you're early, and I will connect with you, right? And I think those are all like pretty cool things that tie into both the artist ethos and also like that video was not like sure they had good footage or whatever, but it's not like they were asking it's not
It's shot with an iPhone.
I was
like
gonna
it's
say
yeah,
that
it's not with
footage
an
is
iPhone.
footage is nothing special at all.
Well,
Yeah, that's what
and
I'm trying to say, right? Is like the stuff you were showing, Dustin, was very, very effective, but like had production budget.
Mhm.
And I just wanted to make sure I had a few examples that were like no budget or couple $100 or you know what I mean?
Well, and by
And
the
it
way,
works.
good hooks extend sustainability and content life cycle. So, like, that sounded like a whole bunch of corporate words. What I mean,
The
what I
McKinsey consultant just entered the
you
room.
can tell I've been talking to a lot of freaking labels lately. I used all the freaking corporate
Yeah,
speak.
yeah.
What I mean by that is that somebody shot that for her. They gave it to her. She probably posted a video and then went, I want to use more of this, but I don't want to just spam people. You put a hook over it. It allows you more opportunities to use a piece of content and extends your ability to post more frequently. Because at the end of the
Yeah.
day, That is really the goal. Like, how are you gonna sustainably post every single day? And doing high production shoots, like, how many what I just showed, how much can you get from a shoot like that? 15, 20 pieces? Okay, there's still another 15 posts you gotta do in a day, or excuse me, in a month. Jesus, in a day. We're all Matt Bacon over here. Um, but yeah, I love that because even if it doesn't work, and you could put a hook on like that and it could do nothing, you still got more out of that content.
Yeah, and that's super valid. Is that because you see, because like last week we talked about how I post 5 times a day. You guys are like people I'm tagged in post with, and you don't see all my stuff. And like you can just reuse dope live footage again and again and again and again because most people aren't consuming your, especially on TikTok, people aren't consuming your feed in the context of your feed. They're consuming it in the context of the For You.
Yeah. I kind of want to do a follow-up to yours because I've got one that shot literally this person just performing in their bedroom with an iPhone, and the hook on it is just absolutely genius in terms of like taking something simple. So this artist Dream Kid, and this is an old
Oh yeah,
post.
this guy's great.
This is from like 3 years ago almost, but
Yeah.
it's such a good example of how a hook can paint a picture. It can paint a world. So Dream Kid is just performing this song in their bedroom. It's all instrumental, and on the screen it says it's 1986 and you're driving home after a breakup. Right? You've painted a picture, and then you hear this.
Wait till you hear it. Should I go get my Miami Vice jacket?
Dude, millions of views this piece of content has, and it's,
And
in my opinion, because of that hook, because
Yep.
they painted a
yeah,
world.
yeah, and they have like the look. They're wearing a Purple Rain shirt. What's also funny about it is if you look at the comments, people are like, so he has his text on screen about you're driving home after a breakup, and one of the comments is more like you were injured in a fight. They said you'd never fight again, but the championship is coming, and you're the only one that can win. And it's
And so
like,
people participate. It's so
Yeah.
good.
yeah,
Crockett and Tubbs driving in Miami with the top down.
And that's one of the things, like, when you have a strong message, people will get their imaginations going and comment that thing and comment follow-up. When you do a weak message, no one follows up.
also, if I remember correctly, a weird thing about this artist is I went to listen to his records because I thought his TikToks were great, and they don't sound like that.
Oh,
Really?
really? That's kind of
Yeah.
disappointing.
Do you remember this too, Jesse?
No, I didn't go to listen to these, but I did see this
Oh,
person's videos a bunch.
yeah. If I remember correctly.
So this one is really funny. I posted a video about this last week, and people really got mad at me in the comments for highlighting this artist, because they really don't like the lie in concept. But I think this works really well. I should say, Jack Appleby from Future Social, one of my favorite newsletters, he said this to me saying, "I'd love your take on this." I actually think this is really smart and will work well. I'm curious what you guys think.
I'm okay. Cleaning up the mess I made. It's so cool. Spending's left of what I knew. I wanted to talk and you turned your back.
All right, that's pretty much the video. But so for the audience at home that can't see, it starts by it's a band playing in their practice space. It says playing totally legendary emo songs, but it turns out it's not a totally legendary emo song. It is their own original, and no one really. They have a decent amount of streams on this, and they've gotten a lot of traction for making good TikToks, but it is not a legendary classic emo song.
Yeah, but
What
it's
was that
also
thing about the
funny.
Pringles after that?
That's the song. So the song title after this is "I didn't give you $10 to buy Pringles, but you didn't give me change back. Pringles aren't $10" by Kiss the Scientist 2025.
So
We should also
irreverent.
we should also say it that has the lyrics on it, and it says "Sing it with me now" as a caption as well.
Yeah, and part of why this works is that they come in with like the emo riff.
Yeah, it's a
Right?
very classic emo riff.
Right, like it comes in with like the sparkly guitar, the doo, and it's like, oh man, am I listening to Mom Jeans? And so like I think for this trick to work, you kind of need to have something that's kind of stereotypical of the genre, but it's so brilliant.
So I actually disagree, and I call this the bait and switch. No, it is a bait and switch, right? And I think you navigate into this territory of negative brand appeal, where you could piss people off. And another good example of this is like, oh, if you like Beyonce, you'll love me. That is a bait and switch because you're not Beyonce. You're asking people who like Beyonce to give you that opportunity to be like, "Listen to me like I'm Beyonce," and then if you do not hold up, you piss people off. And so, to me, I think that the numbers on this are it's not bad, but it's not viral. I actually think if it had gone viral, it would have had a negative impact on them in terms of response.
See, I actually disagree with you.
Yeah.
I think what's interesting here is what usually the bait and switch is about is expectations. So when you say legendary song, you're not technically lying because you could just call something legendary. You're kind of doing a psychological trick, and then it's about, do you like the song after you hear it? If you like it, you're not going to go, fuck these assholes, it wasn't legendary. But a good example of the bait and switch going bad is actually, so this is funny, is this band Shower Beers, who I produced their first EP. They did a thing when All American Rejects were doing that tour of Backyards, and they claimed they were playing at this club called Berlin in New York City. They were not. So everybody got disappointed when it was just Shower Beers, and they had a bit of a backlash from it.
Hmm.
That brings disappointment. Whereas this, if you like the song, it's just open to interpretation. It could be you interpret it and you like it. Well, it's in the eye of the beholder.
Fair.
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
kind of admire the moxie of being like, we're a legendary band. Hey, so I'm here with my friend Fabrice Sergent, the managing partner, co-founder of Bandsintown, which I'm extremely excited for. Thank you for being here, Fabrice.
Thank you for having me
And
today, Matt.
so to kind of start, Bandsintown is one of the most used tools by musicians outside of Spotify and social media or whatever. But you don't really come from the music world, right? You started in tech with like Club Internet in the 90s. How did you go from starting there, very much not in music, to starting Bands in Town?
First and foremost, as a human being, as a music fan at core. And my friendship with my co-founder started in France around live music. So that's where we fundamentally are coming from. A passion for the music, a passion for the artist, an incredible respect actually for the art. So now the second aspect is that I was always convinced that tech and innovation had to serve society and not the opposite. So we're now entering a new era with AI, but through all this tech cycle, I try to leverage tech to improve society and human connections. First, by launching one of the very first internet access provider in France, connecting friends to the internet, essentially, indeed called Club Internet. And then leveraging mobile as a medium to connect people. So Bandsintown came in that context as a tool to help discover artists and obviously to help fans go to more shows.
Absolutely. And so obviously when Bands in Town was kind of starting in the mid 2000s, the early 2010s, there was a lot of competition in that space. What do you think set Bands in Town apart then, and what sets it apart now?
So we did not create the app Bandsintown per se. It was a team that launched it first as a tool on Facebook to help artists post their tour dates. We bought actually that Facebook app in 2011
Yeah.
because we were looking to launch an equivalent to Fandango. What Fandango does for movies, we were looking to launch an equivalent for concerts that not only implied an ability to follow artists, but also an ability to discover shows and get recommendation for shows. So the early competition that you're referring to, has always existed. There are many attempts, many initiatives to display tour dates in many different type of contexts. We made the bet that this had to be a mobile first experience. You needed to have the guide in your pocket, so to speak.
Yeah.
It had to be a push media, not a pull media. So in other words, you had to be notified about your favorite artist coming to town, and you had to be able to be recommended shows, because people don't necessarily follow music and are not as passionate as one would think. So they need recommendation of a good friend, and we wanted to be that good friend. So we had a very strong vision of what we wanted to grow, but we also wanted to create a business model for this ecosystem, right? And it has always been our belief. We wanted to be an advertising-based platform providing marketing programs to venues, artists, and bands, but not a e-commerce platform. In the sense that we never wanted to be, and we stayed away from being a ticketing company.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense, and I think that's powered a lot of the growth. What was, like, the moment where it felt like Bandsintown was really coming together?
It's around 2016, 2017, actually. It took many years to build the platform and its technology. In 2016, 2017, we made the decision to build our own AI. And that sounds
Yeah.
weird to use this term today, but this is really the secret sauce of Bandsintown. The thing that really makes it unique and powerful, its ability to recommend 400 million events every month. And hopefully as precisely and relevantly, I would say, to as possible. So we developed, we got the financial resources, and we developed this recommendation engine in 2016, 2017. We then grew much faster,
Yeah.
and the level of growth really accelerated at that point because of the relevance of the service to the user, and of course the relevance of the service to the artist. I'm really proud to say that out of the 20 million people we send to buy ticket clicks every month to venues and ticketing companies, 50% of those buyers admit that they did not follow the artist before Bandsintown recommendation. So they're essentially discovering a new
Wow.
artist. And
That's
50% of
crazy.
the tickets sold are actually for artists of less than 200,000 followers on Bandsintown, which you may qualify as, rising is maybe, as let's say, smaller acts. Let's call it this
Yeah,
way. Certainly
absolutely.
not the usual suspects and the pop star. So, so this discovery engine, we call it the discovery factor, is what we focus on, and this is what triggered Bandsintown explosive growth.
Well, what's really cool to me about Bandsintown is that for me and my friends, like music nerds, going on Bandsintown and looking at what's coming up in our city is like part of our schedule, right? Like on Mondays, I'm looking at like what are the concerts coming here this week so I can go. It's incredible that you've created an app that's like integrated into people's lives. How does that feel?
That feels really good. It's
You
I
know,
think
it's
it's yes, because look, we're getting more and more digital, and that's okay. I've been advocating digital my whole life, so I would not say
sure.
that it's a bad thing. It's a great thing. But, human matter, it's what keeps us alive. I usually say that being a fan is being alive. And that's so true. It's your ability to have this child in you, ability to
Yeah.
cheer, ability to get excited, ability to connect with others in what I believe is one of the last tribal experience.
Yeah.
To be in the mosh pit is a unique moment. Every time you do it, you feel it. Why do you
Yeah.
feel it? Because there are not so many opportunities for us to gather as humans and to cheer for the same artists, to eliminate all barriers There's no sexual orientation, race, income levels, titles when we are all together in the mosh pit. And so it's fundamental. The day when we stop doing this means that we become robots. And I hope this is not going to happen. I think it's quite the opposite, actually. The more robots there will be, the more the tribal experience will be essential.
So yeah, so I guess there's like more of an existential question of like, to some extent, Bandsintown is almost like guarding the future of live music for people.
The level of penetration of digital in our lives, and COVID obviously accelerated that quite
Sure.
strongly. I mean, this interview just shows it. I'm not sure we would have done it this way,
Yeah.
a few years ago.
5 years ago.
Yeah. And so this is accelerating. This is just going to continue to accelerate. Now, the only reason why we can feel good about it is because we counterbalance the impact of the digital world on our lives by real human experiences. I'm not saying that live music is the only one that matters. Sports is a great one, for example. Um, that's and yes, people love to go to stadiums and stuff like that to meet other people, to express themselves. So there are many other opportunities. It's just that sometimes some people may be lonely. Some people may not even realize that they are isolating themselves into some sort of a digital fence.
Yeah.
We're there to knock at the door and say, hey, this might be good for you. We're not trying to necessarily sell you. We really think deeply that this might be good for you. You should try. You should discover that artist. And so, and artists have so many things to say. They are such a reflection of society. The lyrics, the words, the attitude, the type of music is necessarily connected to the fabric of ours, to what's going on. So it brings you back to life. It brings you back to reality, and that's I think it's an essential counterbalance to what's going on in the digital world.
Absolutely. That's really beautiful.
What's really beautiful is the music artists create.
Yeah.
Everything starts from the music and from the artist. In fact, I do sometimes even wonder if I love more the artist or the music, because I feel that it's so hard to create. It's so hard to extract from oneself something that's new, that's creative, that eventually becomes mind blowing and so emotional for the crowd and the audience. That's a process that is obviously very organic, very human, but it's extremely hard, and you know that. So this is what is beautiful. And this is what people celebrate when they go to a show, because they know that something magical is going to happen. They don't know exactly what is going to be the magic. Sometimes the magic is incredible, sometimes the magic is less surprising, but it's going to be magical no matter what, because it is magical to create. And it's not a given to everybody. Everybody has this creative ability, I think, really for real. Um, but live music artists are part of the most extraordinary creators in the world. So there are not so many of them. We have on Bandsintown 700,000 artists registered, created an account. 700,000 out of billions of people. It's not a lot. And they're not all touring as much as I wish they would.
Yeah. No, the way you express that is really well put. It reminds me of, I mean, you and I both went to French high schools. It reminds me of some of the stuff you would read there. Would you say, this is almost more of a personal question, but would you say sort of it seems that a lot of the ethos of Bandsintown and what you're doing comes from sort of this marriage of philosophy of art with tech. And that's fascinating, because I feel like normally you talk to kind of, as you know, you talk to a lot of music tech founders, and that philosophy of art thing doesn't exist. How do you maintain that sense of prioritizing the arts even while you're trying to stay like this innovative company and keep things ethical and helpful? How do you keep it artist focused instead of just becoming tech bros?
I think that when you're product focused, it really matters actually to tame the
Yeah.
tech to serve a purpose. In our case, the purpose is greater than the company. The purpose is to indeed every week bring joy to the people and to also help artists grow their career. That's way beyond Bandsintown, right? It's way beyond. Now, does this mean that we should not build a company or create a business model? And no, because we need to be sustainable to be that. To do
Sure.
that, we need to be strong to continue to be able to innovate and to invest. So we never sacrificed the art to the business model or just because very strong and clear example. We are the largest search engine for official tickets and primary ticketer, and we never accepted to list shows that were sold by secondary platforms and marketplaces on
Yeah.
Bandsintown. If you're a user, or you are absolutely guaranteed that if you click back ticket on Bandsintown, you will only get to the official ticketer of the show. But and we are connected to probably 120 in the world. There are many, but we never accepted to feature those resale marketplaces. That's one
That's amazing.
that's one of the good example of how we made decisions. We do work with Ticketmaster and Access, which themselves have their own resale marketplaces, but those are official marketplaces, and those marketplaces are approved by the artist. So it's very important to indeed know who you're rooting for, and never lose sight of that
Yeah.
North Pole, basically. North Star, I'm sorry.
On that note, you just launched a partnership with YouTube Music. Obviously, last year, I think you launched the Spotify partnership, and you're starting to get integrations kind of across the internet. Can you talk about that for a second? What has that process been like, and what is the future like for that?
It's important to market music and those live music shows. And when people are looking for those shows, as I said, Bandsintown is taking care of pushing alerts, recommending shows. That's what we do. That's where we are. That's why we are so unique and different from anybody else, because we've been doing this for a long time. And so we built an algorithm that learn about your music taste and how to recommend shows across 100 million people. So that's what we know how to do. However, it is very clear that some people know which show they are looking for. Some people heard about a show, and they may be looking for a show. They may be so this attitude of fans needs to be considered. And if we want to help the artist find those fans at the moment when they are trying to find those shows, we need to feature their tour dates outside of our own ecosystem. So we take care of the recommendation. Now, how about featuring shows in Google search results? How about, featuring shows within music streaming ecosystem, Spotify, Apple, and then most recently YouTube. So this is a way to essentially connect with the fans when they are listening to music, looking for shows, and when they are adjacent to the subject of live music, but they are not necessarily in the process of buying a ticket. We also help artists display their tour dates on their websites, post
Yeah.
their shows on their social. We give them free tools through Bandsintown for
Yeah.
artists to do so. So those partnership with platforms like YouTube and Spotify or Google are just a way to expand our reach. We went from 100 million registered users to now maybe a reach of several billions. And that's great because for the artists, it's free. All what they need is to create an account on Bandsintown for Artists, publish and validate their tour dates, and also connect and fill their profile, their account, with all the data we need to sync their tour dates with their artist pages on Spotify, on YouTube. And that's important, by the way, because if they don't do that, those tour dates are not going to flow onto their music streaming and or YouTube
Yeah.
pages. So it's important to add the Spotify link, the YouTube artist official channel link into the Bandsintown account to get the tour date surfaced onto all platforms. But they publish once, and we say for all, and
Yeah.
and that's pretty powerful, right? And artists always try to save time and money, and I hope that this is going to help them more tickets.
I mean, I can say with my work with artists, getting the Bandsintown plugged in properly is like one of the first 3 to 5 things I bring up in pretty much every conversation.
Thank you.
You know, what else do you wish artists understood more about how your platform works or how to take advantage of your platform?
Many artists ask us, how do I grow my follower on Bandsintown? So, as you know, you cannot buy follower on Bandsintown. You cannot,
Yeah.
like other platforms sometimes. It's very organic. We, by the way, never ourselves promote Bandsintown. We never promoted Bandsintown or bought advertising for Bandsintown over the last, since inception, I would say. So this is all very organic. The best way to grow follower on Bandsintown is to indeed create a profile, fill it up thoroughly. So not like just a few things, just try to answer the questions very, very thoroughly. And then use the tools that we provide to accelerate the growth, because the algorithm will see that you are using the tools, the widgets, the social posting tools. We have an incredible tool called Play My City, which helps artists notify their fans that they're going to go on tour, but also try to map out where the fans are located. But it's a way to nudge fans. It's a light way to start creating a top of funnel in terms of marketing. And fans love that, actually. It's the
Yeah.
best converting call to action that we can provide. So use the tool, and that will help you help the algorithm find you and recommend you. As I said, we do recommend. Artists don't realize it, that sometimes they don't even know that those tickets sales come from us or from a recommendation from Bandsintown. But, in many cities, large markets, and not even large markets, we do represent maybe 10%, 20% of those tickets sold, and artists don't even know it, or venues don't know it. So the more artists use the platform, the more the platform gets used to their content, their shows, and we have an incentive to recommend them. That's how you essentially increase the number of followers on the platform.
Yeah. And the Play My City function is one of a couple insanely valuable things I wanted to talk about because I've like routed tours around that where like I'm sitting with an agent I work with and we have a couple dates and then it's like, what else do we do? And then I just look at that and suddenly I understand where this artist needs to play because we got the data from you. It's
Actually, we should
incredible.
revert this interview. I should interview you about the way you use Bandsintown, because you see what you just said is really important. A lot of people do that,
Yeah.
but those case studies, these best practices are not usually shared, and so, but it does exist. The fact of the matter is that the data supporting tour are not very available to those artists. Most
Yeah.
of the data are sitting on the ticketing companies, at the ticketing companies level. So artists don't have access to much data to make those decisions. There are data coming from the DSPs to a certain degree. No really local data coming from Instagram. So Bandsintown is one of the few sources that are live music focused and providing local data to the artists.
And the other like really helpful thing that I use a lot that I wanted to talk about is Bandsintown allows you to have like a localized email list basically, right? Where it's like if I have a 30-day US tour, I can send an email to every city and go like Atlanta, we're coming to this venue on this day. Show up. Could you talk about that tool, the
Yeah.
email marketing tool?
Yes. Always believe that artists should own their data. They should,
Yeah.
their fans are part of their assets. Sometimes, and for a long, long time, actually, artists consider that Their main asset was their catalog, their recordings. But the reality is that their brand, their emails, their phone number are also part of the assets that they are building over time. So we always allowed artists to message, to post to their fans for free without any filter. It's a strong statement, yet another statement that shows how focused we were on the artists, by the way. Always. It's not new. We were very early in this, way before COVID. You can use this post to tracker tool to send post. It sends an email alert, a push notification, and obviously the post appears on the artist page to all fans that accept to receive such alerts and emails, of course. Tool number 2, for all artists that have less than 10,000 followers, they can send emails for free to the fans every month, up to 10,000 emails. And that's our way to help jumpstart the career of the artist. We're not charging them anything. And then beyond that, we have indeed an email functionality that is premium, charged at a fairly low level to send full
Very
emails.
low level.
To send full emails to the fans. Then we have a promoter thing, which is mostly paid by the promoter to also reach fans of similar artists. So to expand the reach to other fans. So there are various options to message the fans, but we also provide tools to collect first-party data. So by installing the widget, the API, or all those Play My City call to actions on their website or their social accounts, artists can literally indeed get opt-ins basically from the fans, collect emails and phone number, and then reach those fans directly outside of Bandsintown to keep them informed about their album release, merch drops, live shows if they want to. So we give these options to the artist to build their following on Bandsintown on one hand, and to build their own data assets on the other hand, and hit two birds with one stone from doing so.
And then can you talk about like your self-serve ad platform?
Yeah, that's actually the promoter tool I was talking about. At the time of on sale, sometimes at the time of closing, there's a need to push a show. It's very convenient to be able to either contact fans with very detailed information, or expand the reach to fans of similar artists. And the AI will suggest actually which fan needs to be reached to try to sell more tickets. So, and this is self-serve. It's very easy to use. It's right now it's only emails, but it's very powerful as a medium because emails are extremely targeted to fans that are show intent. So concert goers that have the intention to go to concerts. So they are likely to be interested by the message you're going to send them. I usually recommend if you're promoting an artist that is emerging or rising, to introduce the artist, to not only essentially sell message with buy tickets, try to be a little bit more educational about the music, the style, the vibe of the concert, maybe show a link to the music links or YouTube channels. But yeah, so to set this self-serve platform is easy to activate and usually very rewarding in terms of impact.
Because the other thing is like if you're an artist who books your own show, you can just use that, right? Like you can create a promoter account and just push, which
Correct.
I've been doing.
You can do that from your artist account actually now. You don't even need. So yeah, there's a tab in the artist account that enables artists to buy their own campaigns. Indeed. Do you believe that self-promotion is a big thing? Do you see lots of artists being very smart in booking themselves and promoting themselves?
I see some people doing it. What I see is the Bandsintown app is like the ad self-serve platform is a lot easier to use than Meta Ads Manager. So I think that if someone is starting for the first time, they're a lot like, and they're trying different things, that seems to be a little bit more effective. The other thing I like about it a lot is if you're talking to Bandsintown registered users, you're really talking to people who are actively looking to go to concerts. you know? Whereas I feel like if you're like, and I run meta ads for shows all the time, like it works, right? But I enjoy the fact that it's like, okay, here's people who are like opted in to, I'm curious about live events. Whereas I feel like with meta targeting, sometimes you're going like, I'm hitting up fans of this artist I sound like, and hopefully that works, but you can't really filter for like
Yeah.
avid showgoers. And obviously, it's not a market of everyone the way Meta has, but it's still really goddamn useful.
Yeah, it's true. It's you see it in the conversion from interest to ticket sales.
Yeah.
We usually convert much better than the regular meta ads. So in other words, we do have those concert intenders. They are in the mood of buying something. Bandsintown, in a way, is respect the artist and is, as we discussed it earlier, very keen to recommend things just because we really believe that it's going to be a show that you'll be interested in. But we are definitely a transactional platform in the sense that when people come to Bandsintown, use Bandsintown, in their mind, their intention is to do a transaction. So
Yeah.
artists usually separate the worlds of let's say Meta and Instagram specifically, or TikTok on one hand, and Bandsintown on the other hand. Meta being there to build the image, or Instagram and TikTok to build the image, the brand. Bandsintown being there to sell merch, tickets, and promote albums. And it's okay to tell Bandsintown fans, hey, here's my new tour, here's my new album, listen to it or buy that ticket. Fans are used to it, and that's what they are expecting, actually. Um, it's very different than from what's going on Instagram, where artists are more tempted to, build their image and get discovered as individual rather than try to sell something.
Yeah. Well, it's always that thing, right? Where it's like, I can be a band posting good content with like 1,000 likes a post
Mm.
on Instagram. But the minute I post, please buy some shirts so I'm not dying of hunger, that post gets like 150 likes, right? Like that's, and you're in a place where people, a lot of it is related to email marketing, right? Where it's like selling on email is actually pretty clean.
It's also again, each of us have a mental representation of every platform. So you know that on
Yeah.
LinkedIn, you're gonna post certain type of things. You're not gonna post your cat playing with a ball. It's just not. But on Instagram, you think you probably the representation is more about brand building and art and music and things like that, and also personality, trying to build a bond, a connection with your fan based on who you are, not only the music you produce, and that's fine, and that's necessary actually. But at some point, to your point, you need to sell some merch, and you need to sell some tickets to continue to do that great art. And that's I think Bensington's better context for that is a relevant context, because the mental representation of fans with Bensington is that it's a it's a fair marketplace. It's a place where I'm going to buy something, and they're not going to push me stuff that are not really relevant to me. So the level of trust that I have for this brand is high, and so it's okay for these brands to try to sell me stuff. That's at least what we're trying to accomplish.
Yeah, because you're also not taking a cut of merch or ticket sales that go through Bandsintown, right?
We are selling marketing programs to a lot of people. So we
Yeah,
do. I mean, Benzindon, as I said, is a business and needs to be a
sure.
business and to stay strong as a business, because if we want to continue to provide free services to the artist, I mean, we need to extract some
Yeah.
value from other sides of the ecosystem. So we do extract value from the promoter buying campaigns, from the advertiser buying ads, from ticketing companies buying marketing or striking marketing deals with us. Um, so there's all, and merch companies too. No, we do have
Yeah.
merch companies striking deals with us. But it doesn't mean that we don't identify that as being a promotion. So first of all, we do identify it as being a promotion. And we will never recommend, even if it's a marketing campaign, even if it's a promoter that buys a campaign, we will never push a campaign to fans that do not follow this artist or are not likely to have an affinity with that artist. And that's
Yeah.
where Bandsintown is really unique, because even our ads are quite smart and respectful
Yeah.
of.
If you're enjoying this interview, there's 30 more minutes of it, but you need to be a premium member to watch or listen. Head to the description to sign up on YouTube or your favorite podcast app. In the next 30 minutes of this call, Fabrice and I have a really interesting chat about the Bandsintown affinity algorithm and music DNA, which will help you understand how other algorithms work. We talk about the global expansion plans for Bandsintown and their AI integrations, how they support artists of all levels, and of course, talk just about the gratitude he has coming from his position of having gotten to start such an amazing, cool thing. Something I've been doing with my team quite a bit lately, and we're kind of rolling out some products around it, is AI research tools, where essentially what we're doing is we're building up really crazy ChatGPT prompts or whatever that are super in depth and allow us to do more in-depth research than we could have done reasonably on our own. So an example of this is something we're offering where we can generate you with just your artist name. Generally, we can generate you a list of relevant artists, promoters, and venues in whatever cities you want with their contact information, with a description of what each of those entities is about. So it's like a lot of value if you're trying to book a DIY tour, right? Because it's like one of the hardest parts of booking a DIY tour is figuring out who to work with, right? And so we're trying to take away that dozens of hours of just Googling and stuff and like looking at flyers and begging people to help you out to being like, here's probably where you want to get started. And that's been really productive for a lot of my clients. Obviously, I think that we probably shouldn't be like making AI music or something, but I do think that treating ChatGPT or whatever as a enhanced Google that you can go deeper in on is incredibly valuable. And I'd be curious for you guys' thoughts.
I mean, India on the Move is sweating right now. That's their whole that 20
But
years
this
of
is what
India
I'm
on the
saying because I
Move.
used to use that site. I
Yeah.
think somehow you and I like met tied into
Yeah,
that site
and
somehow.
probably.
But like Dustin and I are old now. We were young when we met. Um but Jesse's like basically dead.
He's like inside and out.
Yeah, I mean,
No,
truly.
but yeah, so, like, Indie on the Move was, like, a website that, like, listed a bunch of venues, but it wasn't, like, sorted really by genre, it wasn't really sorted and it was also, like, just venues, not, like, promoters and stuff, not, like, the artists you would wanna play with. Like, I feel like I can use this tool to give you a much fuller picture. I'm building another tool that helps you understand what's hot in your scene right now, studying, like, Reddit threads and Instagram posts and YouTube, and then I have another tool that helps you figure out, like, what color vinyl should you get. If it's more of, like, obviously get the color vinyl you want to get, but if you want to like research, this was more of a personal project to get better at prompting. But I was like, yeah, if you want to just research and get a sense of it, here, plug in your genre or plug in your band name and we'll give you some vinyl ideas based on what's worked in your space. I
I
think
have
all these things are
questions.
really, really valuable and save you a lot of time.
I have questions for you because I no longer book since like 2018, but when I was a manager, I booked quite a bit. And when I would start with bands, I mean, here's how it would work. Reach out to a couple of venues. Let's say I don't know who they are in Chicago, and I go, "Hey, we want to hold on this date. I'll go find bands because I already know they're going to ask who are you going to get locally." And the
Yeah.
real work was researching local active bands. Do you
Yeah.
have a prompt that does that? Because to me,
Yes.
that is where the work can be
Yes.
mitigated.
There's ways to kind of filter for that. It still requires like some human intervention, but
Nope, I'm out. No. No human
but I'm saying
intervention.
like relative to what it is, like, I've been able
Yeah.
to use this in, like, 5 minutes to turn up, like, 20 hours of work for a band.
I, about 3, 4 months ago, witted, and there's a thing I tell everybody in my YouTube channel and my newsletter that like you need to find the bands most similar to you that have about tens of thousands of monthly listeners in that range and do a research on it. I used to tell everybody it takes 10 to 15 hours to really get good answers. I built a prompt that I give away for free in my newsletter that basically chops that in half and does really
If
well. You
not more.
basically, I think it's about half because I've done it like 4 or 5 times now, and I did 50 different ones to develop the prompt. So because I wanted to do genres I didn't know to make sure it was working in
Yeah,
other things before I released it. So I had
sure.
50 of my members do it. But what I really noticed is it really gets about 6 hours of work done in 10, 15 minutes because I use Claude. I use the research mode on Claude. And then what I do is I have 3 parameters. It's your micro genre you enter. You put artists to include because the artist to include and exclude is actually what gets you the best research. And what I really find is you put it in a couple times and you change those include and exclude, and you'll get totally different exhaustive answers. But this prints out like a 12-page report of every influential person, every influential playlist, everybody who has any audience that you could submit to, and often finds their email addresses.
How are you using this information? I guess tell me that again.
Yeah. So what I get it to do is, so for example, let's say you're looking for people who do YouTube album reactions. Let's say you're looking for people who do TikToks who say, here's 5 of the best grunge bands right now. I'm basically going in and identifying those so that artists can find them and submit their music to them.
Dude, I might have to get that prompt from you because that's what I'm
Yeah.
trying to do right now.
I-
That's what I'm like,
I'll forward.
hold on, can I hire you, Jesse?
Well, yeah, the nice thing though is like, like most things in my life, I'm overemployed, so I don't want to be hired. So I just put it out there for everybody to use it for free.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then you get a little OU one.
Yeah. I mean, it's also just the thing of that. I think, I'm learning this as I go. I actually stole a lot of this prompt from a podcast called Marketing Against the Grain, who does really good prompt research. I really like what they do. And I took some of their framework and then I built on top of it.
Well, I was gonna say it's interesting because like I'm in a much more creative field than I used to be, and I have incorporated AI in ways. This research, like doing research obviously makes a lot of sense. But when you cross into creative work, man, it is like the most hackneyed, cheeky, sort of cheap bullshit marketing creatives that it pumps out. And I like it for when I process, like, especially with artist brands, I'll ask the artist so much information and I'll put it in there and help me organize it. But if I'm like, now make me some content ideas based off of this, oh my God, it's so bad. That's
Uh-huh.
where, so I'm wondering, are you guys having any success on the creative side of things with AI?
So what I've been able to do with I kind of jokingly call it the music journalism killer prompt. But we'll get into that in a little bit. I've been able to get it to consistently churn up like top tier TikToks in whatever space I want. And then I can use that for inspiration for what I'm trying to do.
So still
So
research.
yeah, so it's more like yeah, right? Because it's like when I'm trying to come up with a TikTok strategy for an artist, I'm usually like we talked about before, I'm watching just like hundreds of TikToks and just going like, okay, 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 this is gonna work. This is what and so this just kind of can cut some of that down for me. It's not perfect, it's not everything, but it does help.
So is it actually linking to the TikToks? You're just sort of like, hey, give me some TikToks based on this genre that are, doing well. Will it actually sort based off of like viewership and things like that?
Yeah, I usually sort it off likes rather than views. But yeah.
There's this interesting thing. One of my favorite podcasts is called How I Write, and they had Ezra Klein on, who the opposite of a fan of, I should say. And Ezra talked though about how with a lot of research, people underestimate that the thinking time and the time you devote to this, like it's kind of how I feel about a lot of self-help and nonfiction books, is that a lot of the time what you're reading is obvious, even dumb at times, or it could have been a 20-page article, but the time you devote to thinking about this stuff is just as important as what's in the book because you're just getting your brain to do it. Every time I do these things, I find I'm not thinking as deep about what the people are doing and putting in the time of going, okay, well, all of this was mid, and I need to see the mid so I understand what's exceptional as well.
Hmm. So you're saying, though, I guess to clarify, you're saying that AI is interrupting that deeper thinking or helping the deeper thinking.
So this is my problem is that I am trying to kill the things that don't matter that. So a good example is like the AI prompt I built of just searching for who makes these accounts. I didn't find that time useful, but I do find the time useful looking through all the bad videos of artists and seeing what they're doing, what's not working, what's not going in my For You page versus my following page. I try to now do equal watching of my friends and the For You, so I understand what's going in each algorithm and I understand what's not hitting the For You when they're making it.
That to me is everything, because I think that the step that your brain is doing is the step that I would recommend people to do themselves, which is like, okay, AI, you've watched all this content. Now recommend me some content ideas. That's garbage. You need to look at it, process it, and creatively output. Because really, if you truly want to create something beautiful, excuse me, create something successful, fuck beautiful, successful, it's whether it's your music or content or whatever it is, it's thinking beyond all those things, is pushing and the boundary of that, and Chat GPT will not do that for you.
Yeah. It's the same with everything, right? Like, it always comes down to this question of like, these things are great and genuinely useful, but you need to like preserve the critical thinking skills because once you start to lose those, you start to just fall apart.
I mean, it's the measure of our humanity is our critical thinking skills, is what differentiates us between, well, us and the animals.
It's really funny because, yeah, I think that Lee Martin, who's the greatest music marketing programmer of all time, he posted an interesting thing today about how, you really just wanna make the AI do the things you shouldn't do, but keep it away from your creativity and keep it away from your humanity, and, like, man, I read that AI relationships Reddit all the time, and it's like people are burning their lives down by you cutting corners with this, and I think this is gonna be one of the biggest decisions we make as people, is the new decision is what walls we put on this, because, like, I don't know if you guys read that article with the
Yeah.
marriage. Oh my god. Like, that was, like, one of the scariest things I've ever read in my life was how they're
Psychosis.
refereeing fights with GPT in relationships.
I thought you were talking about the guy that was in love with ChatGPT
I'm
while
talking
also
about
being married.
a woman in fighting with their wife in front of their kids is, asking ChatGPT to envision itself as hundreds of marriage counselors and therapists and say who is right in the argument.
Well, that's just the wrong question.
It's a very bad,
That's not a good
bad
question.
question.
No,
It's
yeah,
it's it's
I have like a whole conspiracy theory about this that probably shouldn't be on the air, but it's like
oh,
basic,
good, oh, good. So just
but
start saying it.
I mean, it's not like bad. It's just like something I've observed, I think there's like a lot more shut-ins in society than we realize. And I think that as your society gets more productive, you have more capacity to have more shut-ins. And then also as society grows more productive, you have more entertainment options. And I feel like every time, like a big part of why like concert attendance is down is video games, right? Is because like you can have a lot more
Do we
fun at
know this for
home.
a fact?
Well, no, but well, can I finish my point?
Yeah, go
Is
ahead.
that
Don't
like
fact checked him in real time. What is
home
he?
home entertainment options have gotten dramatically better since 2000, much less 1980.
This is
Would you
true.
agree with me on that?
This is
Mhm.
true.
So the impetus to go to a show because something is going on is much, much lower than it was 20 years ago, right? Because now you have like your VR goggles. Rah, 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 rah. So like I think increasingly people are just not engaging with society because they don't have to because they have enough entertainment at home. And some people like us like choose to engage because I would rather like make friends and get way too drunk with Jesse. And I feel like the Chat GPT thing is just another more dramatic layer of that, where it's like, before it was like, oh, I have a choice between like going out or like sitting at home and playing video games with my Oculus Rift. Now it's like I can like try to like learn how to talk to the type of people I would like to date, or I can just make Chat GPT be that for me. And I think we're just gonna keep seeing more and more shut-ins, and I don't know how to fix that. But I think that's just kind of an inevitability of technology.
technology allows us to put less effort into critical thinking, creative skills. Ultimately, I think the people who are going to be the most successful, productive, and happiest are the people who maintain those skills. Like the guy who fell in love with ChatGPT is not a happy person, right?
No.
So that technological advantage did not play in his favor. And so back to being artists and being creative, if you let the creative work, I mean, look, I work in marketing and you could
Mm.
look at me as like, is this guy happy with his job? Yeah, because I get to be creative. If I let
Mhm.
ChatGPT do that, what am I like? Why? Well, first of all, like, what is my job? Right? Is it prompts? I mean, it's just
Yeah.
you know. So I think even an artist who says, "Well, I don't really want to make content, so maybe it's best that AI does it." I think creatively, you should think about it as an extension of your art and not allow that to happen.
Strong agree. I'd like to remind everybody that over on our membership feed this week, we're going to be discussing the death of music journalism and why Halsey says she can't release a new album. So we'd love if you guys become a member. The link is in the description of the YouTube or our podcast.
Thank you guys so much for listening to this podcast. We're trying to get this to go as far as possible. So please, please start a conversation with a musician friend by sending it to them and talking about something you might have learned today.
If you enjoy this episode, please subscribe on your favorite podcast app. If you're on YouTube, subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss our episodes every Tuesday. If you can rate us on Apple and Spotify, that helps us tremendously. Make sure to tune in next week.